I'm Rachel Alday, and this is the Hospitality Breakroom, a podcast full of nuggets and secret sauce, where every Monday we'll shed light on what we've learned from the countless mistakes we've made along our journey in the chaotic and rewarding world of vacation rentals. Hi, and welcome back to the Hospitality Breakroom. I'm here with Myles from our team at Abode, and we are going to talk about homeowner relations and onboarding. Myles has been on our team for, I already asked you this last time we did
A
this.
little over 4
Oh
years,
my gosh.
October
Okay.
2020.
Why am I always surprised when people tell me how long they've worked here? And so Myles started in our ops team, right?
Yep.
Operations, like inspections. I think we're going to change the name of that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I say ops. I feel like that doesn't make any sense because like everything in our business is ops. But anyway,
Sure.
he started on operations doing inspections and then he moved into homeowner relations and now he's moving into homeowner acquisition,
Yeah.
like business development,
Yeah.
which is really cool. But so today we are still in our second season of 10 episodes where we're kind of focused on talking with the mindset of thinking like that we're speaking to homeowners. And so I think that's obviously really interesting because that's what Myles does. And so Myles and I had discussed that we're going to talk about the the way that we handle our initial conversations with a new homeowner leading up to the onboarding process and how we've sort of fine-tuned that. And I should say like Myles has fine-tuned that so that we have a better outcome and happier homeowners once they're onboarded. And it's like getting to that point of them being happy is easier with the new process.
Yeah.
So Myles was gonna use a specific example of a newer property that we signed and how it went while using our new process. So you wanna get into
Right.
that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was actually the first property I had ever signed myself, like going to the meeting, just me and the homeowners, walking through the house with them, um, and kind of looking at it too, like, what do we need to do to get this property up to our luxury standards and fit into our portfolio that we have? Because it was a property that at first glance, you don't walk into it and you're like, wow, this is luxury. The location is great, walkable to ski lifts, walkable to Main Street, Park City, which huge attraction there,
What
lots to
street is it
do.
on?
It's on Woodside.
Woodside, okay.
Woodside. So
So
it's just adjacent to Main Street. You can actually
yeah.
walk out of their home, make a left, walk down a stair set, and you're
So, like,
pretty
Park
much on
City
Main Street.
has, for our gazillions of listeners, because I know there's just
Mhm.
they're probably just, like, piling up all the numbers are just, like, right now as this when this goes live, they're just gonna be like, "Bing, bing,
You're
bing,"
gonna be
all these
famous,
listeners,
yeah.
yeah. But, okay, so for people that don't know Park City, so just when we say, like, a good location from our markets well, and specifically right now, we're gonna talk about Park City, we have our 3 markets, but Park City has, um, a downtown area and then multiple ski areas, and the downtown area is called Old Town, and so we're talking about a house with a good location. For us, that can mean it's accessible to Old Town and also to the ski slopes, right?
Yeah. I
So
mean,
that's like a cool thing to
mhm.
note. Yeah.
That locate, I mean, everything's walkable.
Yeah.
It's one of those you don't need to worry about renting a car, going out to dinner, entertainment, skiing, all of
Yeah.
that's walkable. So just that alone is desirable and will book and rent well. Um, but for a boat, it's like we have a certain standard with our properties and the upkeep and functionality. And coming from operations too, I'm looking at it from a guest standpoint, of course, but then also our team standpoint.
Yeah.
Is this a property that you go into and you're going to have to spend an hour and a half troubleshooting
Right.
every time you go, which in the long run costs us money and
Yeah.
efficiency. So when I go meet with these homeowners, it has to be looked at from that standpoint too. Meaning is, like a guest perspective, for instance, can this room fit a king bed? Um, I mean, that's a huge thing for our guests. A full bed doesn't really work for like a
No full
secondary
bed.
bedroom.
Yes.
Um,
This is okay, wait, that's kind of a nugget.
yeah.
For all homeowners or property management professionals, vacation
Mhm.
rental professionals, like a full bed should not be in a rental property.
No.
If a homeowner has a full bed in their house, unless it's like a secondary bed in a bedroom that already has a king or like bunk beds or something, and
Mhm.
then there's a full, but like a full, I guess a full could be part of a bunk set.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Well,
there's a bunk set with a full that
mhm,
would be
and
acceptable-ish.
the typical twin
Yeah.
bedroom setup. If you were to do 2
Yeah.
fulls, it's more comfortable for
Yeah.
that one person sleeping, but you can never list a full of sleeping 2.
Right. Like a full is like it really has no place in a rental unless it's part of a bunk set. Like fulls just don't. That's a nugget.
Right,
No full bed. Okay.
right. Um, yeah, this property, it hadn't been rented in a long time. Tons of owner items everywhere, closets full.
How long did they own it for before they came to
It's
us?
been in the family.
Okay.
The owners I was talking younger guys, probably mid-30s,
Okay.
my age. So
Yeah.
walking into that, I was like, "Wow, you guys are doing very well." But it's been in the family for a long time.
Okay.
So it was kinda something that they had only rented to friends. They never really
Okay.
wanted to put it into a rental
Yeah.
pool.
Which that can be tricky.
Mhm.
That can make it like a tricky property to manage because there's like the history of their friend being like, "Yeah, this is fine. This is good." And then when you try to tell a homeowner like, "No, it's not
Yeah,
for rentals." A lot of times they're gonna be like, "It is good. Our
right,
friends like it." Yeah.
right.
So,
Well,
okay,
these
like, I
guys
wanna
were
hear how
they
you
were
handled
great
it.
because their motivation was to, earn some extra income, but they also wanted to make that property better.
Mhm.
Um, so right there are we were aligned.
Yeah.
Um, so walking through with them and just being kind of transparent off the bat about what would need to get done
Yeah.
in order for us to sign. So I noticed the hot water heaters were 15 years old. Like
Yeah.
we have to get that, the HVAC inspected, get the all clear on that. We got to update this queen to a king.
Mhm.
Got to update the full to at least a queen.
Yeah.
We have to we have to at least lock off your closet that has all these clothes in it, and if we were
Uh-huh.
to do that, we have to then add temporary
Oh,
storage.
yeah.
We have to implement our linen program. We have to get the decks inspected.
And so this homeowner, when you went in with all these pieces of information, this homeowner was, like, into it? Like, they were like, "Yeah, okay, we can do all that," or was it a
They liked
discussion?
my the eye for it, and they
Uh-huh.
liked getting the feedback. It had to be a discussion with the family
Yeah.
because I think
Money.
when yeah, and I think
Yeah.
when all said and done, because we onboarded this property late last winter,
Okay.
so really was hard to get not hard to get a booking, but they didn't have the lead time
Yeah.
that everybody else had. So a lot of they got really lucky. Their first 2 bookings were actually, I think, ended up being like a guest had to move into the
Okay, right,
properties.
right, right.
Um, but before that was even happened, I think the owners put about 20 grand into the property
Okay, so
just based off of the
so
recommendations we
everything that
made.
you recommended, they did before we onboarded.
Mhm.
Okay, like, because
Yeah.
that's ideal.
Mhm.
Because I think that's part of something to go through, like, now too and explain about how I mean, I know when we started the business, my husband and we did all of our own homeowner acquisition and onboarding, we probably made the mistake of telling people, like, "It's okay, we can onboard and then we can do these updates."
Mhm.
And do you wanna talk about, like, how you've learned that not waiting is better, and then how you got the homeowner to make those changes before we onboarded?
Yeah, totally. Because the expectations of it and the timeline, I mean, if you tell an owner like, "Yep, we're good to go. We'll get your property, shot and photos back in 7 to
Yeah,
10 days, and then we'll have it online," but then you walk in, because I used to do onboarding myself.
yeah,
So I would we'd get a signed contract, I'd
yeah,
get my assignments to go over there and start going through my checklist, and I'd show up and be
yeah,
like, "Wow, this needs to be done, this needs to be done, this
yes.
needs to be done." So I would go and
And
report all.
and you were just reporting that as an operations, like,
Yeah,
inspector, but you weren't the one that got to talk to the homeowner, and
exactly.
so it gets messed up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So all my information then has to be translated to the homeowner,
Mhm. Game of telephone.
who their expectation is, "Well, you guys said it was ready to go,
Yeah.
and now you're sending me this list that's gonna cost me 10 grand, let's
Yes.
say." Um, so setting those expectations prior is very important, and I think getting eyes on the property too, before the contract is signed.
Mhm.
There's some certain situations where property's been rented before, it's pretty much like
Yeah.
turnkey, transfer everything over, but in this situation where it's been a family property and lived in
Yeah.
for a long time with probably real no annual maintenance happening and,
Yeah.
and any
Did they
inspection.
have, property management before?
No.
None. And then I think, like, to me, the secret sauce here, um, just because I can't help but interject all the time, but, is, like, there's a fear that you can have as a property management professional that if you go to the homeowner, like you're focused in the beginning about signing that homeowner into the portfolio and you don't want to have them go with another company. So you may not be as prone to early on encouraging all these changes because you're like, let's just get it signed. We really want it in the portfolio. And then we'll help them make some money and then we'll make these changes. But that in reality, that fear is, I think, more unfounded. And it took me like years to learn this, but it's what Miles does really well, which is, the truth is if you go to the homeowner in the beginning and you have that expert, you have that confidence in your ability to make recommendations to a homeowner that are like valuable recommendations. They in my experience, they generally appreciate that, and you actually have a better chance of signing the home because they can see that you have the knowledge, the experience, and you can make good recommendations, and they're like, "Oh, thank you."
Yep.
Because there's
Yeah,
that fear of, like, that you think they're gonna say, like, "F you, I'm not doing those things, and I'm not gonna sign with you." But, like, usually the secret sauce here, I think, is that the homeowner will actually be grateful for your recommendations and see you as more of an expert when you're making those recommendations,
absolutely.
and then more likely to sign with you, and then more likely that you'll have a better experience with them as a homeowner in your portfolio because they're gonna have better rentals, better reviews because their property is better.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And during that, I mean, on the other side of things too, it gives you a chance to see how the partnership's gonna go. So, if they're not willing to do any of these
Right.
things off the bat and kinda, really be a true partner and play ball and kinda see the vision we're going for,
Mhm.
that might not be a homeowner you want to sign, even
Yeah.
if it's a really great home.
Yeah.
Because if you end up signing that homeowner, we have other people in our department that have to work with these people
Right.
too, and we've had homeowners before where it doesn't align,
Yeah.
the partnership isn't working, it's a great home, but we can't really get on the same page as some of
Yeah.
these things, and that can create a big headache for the team.
Yeah, no, it's like you're going into business with someone. You're, like, getting into a relationship with
Mhm,
them, like, literally more than you realize.
mhm,
And I think when we work with homeowners and when we've not done a good enough job, like, sort of vetting if they're
mhm,
gonna be good to work with or not, they can really they can really be harmful to our team and our morale. But also, like, we end up not making them happy because maybe, we didn't catch early on enough that they're not someone that we're going to be able to make happy. And so then, I mean, honestly, as much as I want to blame the homeowner and be like, "Oh, they're terrible to work with. We shouldn't be working with this person." Also, it sucks that we're not making them happy.
right,
It's like it sucks for us, not just that we're dealing with someone who's difficult, but it can also just suck to, like, go home every night and know that you did not make your client happy.
yeah,
And so it's like, I think there's times where we, end our relationship with the homeowner, where we stop managing for them, or where we decide not to take them on in the first place, and I feel like the homeowner can kinda get butthurt and be, like, annoyed, but part of it is like, "No, I mean, I want you to be happy,
right,
and, like, you're not happy in this business relationship, and that may be because of stuff that we're not capable of, or it might just be because they're not happy, but, like, either way, the point remains, if they're not happy, that sucks, and we don't want them to be like that." And I mean, it sounds like a little bit of, like, therapy talk or something,
mhm.
but I feel like it's so
Oh,
true.
it's true.
It's like the times when it doesn't work out, it sucks for us just as much as it does for them. I think a homeowner can when we've had to tell a homeowner, like, "Oh, we're not gonna work with you anymore," they can they can be really, like, mad at us, but I feel like it's like, "No, it's better for you that you work with someone
Right,
that can make you happy,"
of
right? And if
course.
it's not us for whatever the variety of reasons are, and it might just be like a chain of events, but whatever it is, it sucks for both of us. And I think it's, like, really important for people in our industry and for homeowners to realize, like, you wanna find a property management company that you're gonna be happy with.
Right.
And it does come down to, like, the services that they provide, but it can also just come down to, like, how you all get along as people,
Course.
you know?
And I think it's important too in that initial conversation is to identify their goals.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what their goals are
Yeah.
in renting, it's hard to make somebody
So funny
happy.
because that's what Blaine brought up too.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
if
wait.
it's to offset
Yeah.
costs, property
Right.
taxes, if it's to improve the home, um, we have an owner in Sun Valley. He's 85 years old
Yeah.
and he has a beautiful property,
Yeah.
main house, 4 cabins, but his goal is literally to just put money in his trust for his kids.
Yeah.
They've never rented it before. He called it a dead asset, and it is the
Yeah.
last thing but a dead
Yeah,
asset.
like, it's the coolest, like,
Mhm.
it's like a, what would like a oh, why can't I think of the word? When we have, like, main house and guest
Mhm.
houses.
Like a little mini ranch.
Yeah, there's a word I always use for like, a compound.
Yeah, compound,
Yeah,
yeah. Totally,
yeah,
totally. But yeah, he called it a dead asset, and I don't know, Brandon might have talked about in this podcast or his podcast,
I
kind of
can't
just
remember.
he manages the building that Brandon operates
Oh,
out of
yeah, yeah, yeah,
sometimes,
yeah, yeah.
and just kind of ran into him and
Yeah,
told him about Abode and
yeah.
what we do.
And Brandon's been on the podcast, and Brandon, runs our operations in Sun Valley.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so I was actually out there 2 weeks ago,
yeah,
at the cabins, got a signed contract with
yeah,
him. Goals are aligned. We know what he wants.
yes,
He knows what we
yeah,
expect. And so I went out there to help Brandon onboard.
uh-huh.
And so the onboarding process is it can take a full day, more than a full day with a
I
property
mean,
like
yeah,
that. You have the main house, which is primarily like where everybody's going to gather to eat and
yeah.
dine and cook.
Well, why don't you describe, like, actually what we do, what you do or Brandon or
Mhm.
whoever during the onboarding process, like tasks
Yeah.
involved in
Yeah.
that onboarding process?
So one of them, because we want photos immediately and we want to get the property online.
Yeah,
So first thing is going in there and assessing photo readiness. Basically, their clutter, their things in like anything that would be a eyesore in
yeah,
photography. Um, once we have the thumbs up on that, would be onboarding clean and linen install. We want the property up to our standards, cleanliness wise, as well as we use a linen program to where it's all white, really nice hotel style
yeah.
sheets. So we want to get
Towels,
towels,
duvet covers.
duvet,
Yeah.
yeah, duvet cover, duvet insert, pillowcases,
Yeah,
flat sheet, fitted sheet, um,
a lot.
bathroom towels, hot tub towels, all of that. So we want to get that put in. And then we can ping our stager and photographer to get photos shot as soon as possible because
Yeah.
every day the listing isn't online. That's,
But when we have, like, online not online, we have, tools, like software that we use for onboarding
yeah.
that involves, like, checklists, so you wanna go through I know you're not gonna say every single item on the
Mhm.
checklist, but it's Breezeway,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Breezeway.
then so, like, what are some of the things when you're going through the house for onboarding, you're using that Breezeway checklist,
Yep.
right? Okay,
Yep.
so, like
So there's a few different workflows that are generated through Breezeway. One is just that photo ready task I mentioned. The next one is property info. So the property info checklist, I think it's around 250 different
yeah,
like
which is that's so
boxes to
many, think
check.
about that.
Yeah. And a
Like
lot of it is manual input and typing, whether you want to use voice or type it
yeah,
out. But um, it's like, you know, where is the nearest bus stop? What's e-access like?
yeah,
Things like that to where that gets sent to our marketing department to help build out the listing
mhm.
and then build out our property information document. So each property we have has its own document where it's, access details and that's internally for the team.
So wait, that's our PID, right?
That's our PID.
So wait, it's property info
Information doc.
document?
Yeah.
And so I think that's a nugget.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah.
each house has its own like sheet of information
What's
of
on the PID?
access to HOA contacts, to any owner preferences, to
Like, what would homeowner preferences be?
owner preferences would be that they want things set up a certain way, kind of
Okay.
thing. So
Like, give
if
an
they want
example.
this throw blanket on this bed,
Okay.
but they have 5 bedrooms and each
Yeah.
bed has a different colored throw
Yeah.
blanket, if they want it on this bed specifically,
Yeah.
it'll list that.
So it'd be like yellow
Mhm.
in the king room at the front of the house and blue throw blanket on the king room at the back, like that kind of stuff?
Right,
Okay.
yeah. And they'll state it sometimes as like Audrey's room because that's
Yeah.
the daughter,
Yeah.
Audrey, she sleeps in that room. So, and then any homeowner notes, it's like anything we're learning about these people that we can put in there, we can
Yeah.
put in owner information as
In the
well.
PID.
Yeah, in the PID, as
Yeah.
well as we can do, um, we'll put in like any vendor contracts they have.
Yeah.
And that's super important because say you onboard a new build,
Yeah.
a lot of the appliances are under warranty.
Yeah.
So when our maintenance manager is
Yes.
looking at that,
Yeah.
going to schedule services
You
or
wanna
something
schedule
goes
with
wrong
their
with the right
company.
person.
Yeah, so you don't void the warranty.
So and
Yeah.
then if you do that, you're looking at covering all those costs if
Yeah.
you messed up and didn't follow that step. So it's really anything
These
office
are all
staff
things
would
clearly
know.
that have been learned by experience. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not at all. Not at all. So that's I mean, the PID, it can get pretty extensive, but in a nutshell, it's like
It's like where the
quirks of the
garbage
home.
goes,
Yeah,
right?
all of that. Mhm.
Like where the it would be like where the circuit breakers are, right?
Yeah.
Well, like how to do the water shut off, but like
Mhm.
that kind of stuff
Yeah.
too.
Really water
Yeah.
shut off's a big one.
I mean, I feel like this is such a good thing for people in property management and vacation rentals to know about like, if you and this does the PID come out of Breezeway or no, it's our own document?
So it's our own Google Doc.
Okay.
So they're all backed up and they can be edited. Only
Yeah.
a few people in our office have editing
Yeah.
access. If you're a team member and you're at the property and you see something that should be added, you can
Mhm.
make a suggestion to the
So this
person.
is like part of what's done during onboarding process is the PID information is gathered. So is that
Yeah.
in Breezeway
So,
as the
yeah, so
gathering?
basically we pull that off the Breezeway task
Okay.
and put it in the fit.
Okay. So then this is like good for property managers and for homeowners to know. Like if you're a homeowner with Abode, you have a PID. You don't even know it probably, but we have a property info document for you. And that was part of our onboarding process. And there were tasks in the Breezeway controlled, Breezeway managed onboarding process. And all these pieces of information were tasks as part of our onboarding. And then it goes into your property info document. And then for property management professionals, like this is something you should definitely be doing. And if you use Breezeway, then you can use Breezeway to create a process to inform a property info document. Yeah.
And a lot of those, part of the onboarding process is discovery.
Yeah.
We'll send out a jot form for all of our owners to fill out. Like, what do they know? Who's the
Yeah.
HOA contact?
I
Yeah,
mean, they kind of hate those, I feel like,
I mean,
right?
but they're so
Some people
important.
like it and some people don't.
Yeah.
What do you think? Are some homeowners like, wow, thanks? Or mostly are they like, I'm not filling that out?
Some drag their feet a little bit, but I
Yeah.
think if you preface it, especially that it helps us build out the listing and
Yeah.
highlight the things you love that we can add to the listing, I
Yeah.
think that's when they'll click the button. They're like, okay,
Yeah. Because
this
we
is
do. It's like it's an extensive request of from the Abode team when we're signing on a new property that we're asking the homeowner to, like, give us a bunch of information because then part of that informs that PID, and so I think that's something to think about from a homeowner standpoint too, like, when you're getting the ask to fill out all the information, I know, like, if it was me, I'd be annoyed too
Mhm,
because I'd be like, "I don't have time for this
mhm.
crap," but then it's like you really want your property manager to have that info.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when we when we send them this link, it's not a boring like here, fill out this form.
Yeah.
And I think this is important. It's like pretty much day that contract is signed or the following day, we send out a welcome to Abode Lecture Rentals email.
Mhm.
And that gives them the breakdown of the onboarding process and what we'll be doing in their home and
Yeah.
the timeline. And it highlights the new homeowner onboarding form, and they need to fill that out so we can get the
Yeah.
listing up and
I
going.
just put more Coke in my cup and it's making a fizzy sound. I'm sorry, everyone. Okay.
uh, no, because once we have that information, because some of those, the checklists on our onboarding tasks will be answered by that owner in the job form.
Yeah.
So it just makes our team's life a little bit
Yeah.
easier, and it's verifying
Yeah.
too that their information is accurate versus what we
Right.
see at the
Well, because
property.
like, let's say we're asking, I don't know if this is a question on there, but you can tell me. Like, how old is your water heater? Is that one of the questions?
It's to look, yeah, because I mean anything over 10 years old,
Yeah.
you should
But is
look.
that like on that question for
I
the
think
homeowners?
so.
So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, look,
Oh no, not on the job form.
no,
It's not
because it's like a question, like, what's one of the questions?
on the job form.
Yeah.
It would be like owner dates, owner vendor contracts, HOA.
Yeah. Like,
When you want
okay.
your like property online, what's the goal here
Yeah,
as far
like,
as
let's say,
that?
like, HOA contacts, right? Like, so or maybe we have that on the Jot form, and then I guess that's another nugget is a Jot form. If you don't know what a Jot form is, like, a Jot form is an online tool, like a form you can send out, and so that's a great thing for property managers to know about. Jot forms are great ways to send out questionnaires to your homeowners or guests or whoever really, depending on the topic, and then get the answers, and they immediately go into like, they'll get loaded from the Jot form into, like, spreadsheet or something, right?
Yeah, so we'll from the job once they submit that, it actually will automatically go to like owner relations team
Yeah.
and then operations and onboarding.
Yeah.
So Jess, who's our like operations director, she
Yeah.
schedules all the onboarding workflow
Yeah.
so she can see that and kind of schedule everything
Yeah.
based on some of the information in
So
there.
Jot form's a cool thing to use. And then, let's just say like homeowner information or HOA information that we're asking for on that Jot form to the homeowner. So the homeowner might be like, and if you're a homeowner, you might be thinking like, can't you Google who the HOA manager is for my development and then just get in touch with them? Or like if you already manage a property, other properties within this HOA, where like, why do I have to fill this out?
Mhm.
But it's like, look, there might be more than one contact. There might be one contact with the HOA that like this specific homeowner always has, where that contact knows the most about this property or
Yeah.
whatever. So it's like, whenever a homeowner can give us that extra information, then it's only going to help our process to be more efficient in dealing with whatever the detail is. Let's say it's the homeowner association. And so I feel like because we've learned from, and especially like I always talk about learning from mistakes. And I feel like Myles has been with Abode long enough and, we've had the company long enough that we've made a bunch of those mistakes and learned. But it's like so important because it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you can learn by messing it up again, or you can skip that part. And we've learned by being the ones who didn't ask the questions,
Yeah.
not having the answers, thinking we can figure it out ourselves. And like we can in a way, but your result is going to take you on a much more meandering path with opportunities for more issues to come up. Whereas if you get that information directly, you're going to, avoid a lot of the time that you would spend making mistakes and learning from them, having the right
Yeah.
information in the first
And
place.
one big thing on the HOA now that it is snow removal and
Oh,
landscape.
yeah.
HOA handles a lot of
Yeah.
that. And in the winter here in Park City, if you have a guest showing up and
Yes.
they have HOA contract to do that, but there's a foot of snow,
Yeah.
you need to have that
Right. Cause
contact to
then,
tell them.
yeah, because, like an HOA that does snow removal, they're gonna be focused on doing what they need to do for the homeowner, but, like, if this property is being rented, then we have to also be like, "Okay, we know the homeowners might be cool with you guys coming and doing snow removal once a day, but, like, this guest is gonna show up at 4 o'clock, and if you came to do snow removal at 10 a.m. and it's been snowing all day,"
Yeah.
you know?
And there's
Yeah.
another 6 inches on the
Yeah.
driveway and they
Yeah.
come from Florida and they
Mhm.
don't drive in the snow and
Mhm.
yeah. So that's very important. And then aside from just like getting back to the onboarding process, one big thing aside from gathering all the info for the listing and the team and getting that all really organized and set is inventory.
Oh, yeah.
So guests have a certain expectation of what's going to be in their rental. They don't,
Yep.
you don't want to have to send them to Target or they have to figure out,
No, we can't. Like,
everything.
with
And
the level of guests that
yeah,
we are not gonna be like, "Oh, we
no,
don't have that, you should go." We don't
no.
have a Target in Park
The
City.
home should be fully equipped and we get a lot of positive reviews where that is one of the
Yeah.
topics. It's like kitchen was
Yes.
fully equipped. So don't slack on equipping your kitchen.
Yes. So
Um,
homeowners, you should know if your property management company is coming to you and suggesting things that need to go into the house, especially if they're an experienced
mhm.
company, they know what they're talking about. Like that is coming from the years of having actual requests.
Right, like having enough glassware, enough
Mhm.
dishware, and not just one for each person that the house sleeps because if you're having some wine,
Mhm.
you don't wanna finish your wine. I
Yeah.
heard this in the podcast this morning that you sent me to,
Oh,
that
really?
I
Yeah, yeah,
listened
yeah.
to.
Oh, yeah.
He was talking
Yeah.
about that. It's, you don't wanna have to rinse out your wine
Mhm.
glass if you wanna switch wines.
Right.
You shouldn't have to worry about that. So, our standard is double the amount the house sleeps. And there's variables there. It depends, the cabinet space, all of that. So,
Right.
our goal is double the amount, and that's glassware, plates, forks, knives, silverware, all of that. Um, and then we now use InHaven
Mhm.
for all of our kitchen stocking. So shout out to InHaven and
Yay.
Ashley. Um, but yeah, they've been great. So we've got more done in this past like season and 2 seasons, really getting kitchen inventory dialed. Julie from our team, we now have a property enhancement team. So where her sole focus is doing the inventory for these properties. And I think that's helped a ton is really making that its own department.
Mhm.
Because the way we used to do it was any operations team member would go do these
Yeah.
checklists and including the inventory. So you would kind of have, guys finishing up their day around 4, especially when it's busy. If we happen to be bringing a new property on in the busy season,
Yep.
those guys free up after 4 p.m. once all guests are checked in.
Right.
So they're spending limited time after they've been going all day.
Yeah.
And now they're counting plates and glasses
And they're maybe not doing a perfect
and
job.
and it
Yeah.
just it didn't really work out the way we wanted to. So now we have Julie going into each home. She puts together a full like presentation for each homeowner and the whats and the whys.
This is like,
Because
okay, wait, that's a nugget too. Or
yeah,
maybe it's secret sauce, you guys. I'm not sure. But okay, one of them. It's the idea is if you're a property manager, or if you're a homeowner, like to me, it's cool to know that Abode has this. And if you're a property manager, it's something to consider. And if you're a homeowner that's not with Abode, like this is something to look at. If you're looking at property management companies or vacation rental companies, this is something to ask. Do they have like we call it property enhancement team, but do they have a process for property enhancement or upkeep? Meaning, and this is, over the years, we never used to have this. And really shout out to Julie for it was her idea to create this
it's like
role.
me and her and Lauren
Yeah.
when we went
Well, you're
to
right, it was the 3 of you.
Jackson
Yeah,
Hole
yeah.
and stayed.
Oh my gosh, I forgot. Okay, yeah, so this came out of, like, people that worked for Abode that realized that we needed this, and then someone, taking the reins on it, but initially it was 3 people. And, um, and the concept is that there is people or a person responsible for continually checking all the properties annually and making sure that they have all of the inventory and all of the details that they need and then working to source what needs to be upgraded or added to the property, and then having the conversation with the homeowner to get them to approve that, and then actually doing it. And so that's like a big
It's huge.
process. Yeah.
And when doing this process too, you're doing counts, but you're also, looking at the cookware. Is it
Mhm.
scratched? Is somebody gonna say
Yeah,
something
is it
about
like
this?
the coating's peeling off and
Mhm.
that's unsafe? Yeah.
And also what we've been doing, which I think has been a huge game changer as far as the turnaround time of getting the approval, is we'll get Julie in contact with the owner from the
Yeah.
property, and I'll be there too, and we'll schedule like either a
Yeah.
virtual meet or an in-person meet.
Yeah.
So she'll go there a day before the meeting, pull everything out
Mhm.
that she needs to show them, and we'll show them what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Um, it cuts the time almost in half to
Mhm.
get approval, especially when these people are trying to get their property online and rental ready as
Yeah.
soon as
'Cause
possible.
this like Miles is talking about doing this during the onboarding
Mhm.
process. And see, again, that's like a lesson learned from many years of like, yeah, you could do it after the onboarding, but it's gonna be way more drawn out and probably won't happen properly. Whereas if you this goes back to the beginning of the conversation. I love how this always happens.
Full circle.
Uh-huh. But it's like, doing all this work, even the property enhancement piece prior to signing the homeowner or during the onboarding process is like magic
Well, and
for the
explaining
success of the
that to them
house.
too, because
Yeah.
typically we're gonna get access once the contract is signed.
Yeah.
So really highlighting that this is like the property enhancement in general. I mean, I think that's like such a cool like thing for Abode to offer
Yeah.
either way. So it's not a bad thing that we want to go in and get all these,
Right.
counts and updates and upgrades.
Yeah.
But prefacing that, and then so they know it's coming.
Yeah.
So it's not all of a sudden they get this email after we've been in their house for a week that you
Yes.
need to spend two thousand
Yeah.
dollars on just kitchenware.
Right.
Like this is what we'll be doing, and this is
Because
why.
that does feel, I think, like it feels worse from the homeowner standpoint. And since there's probably like 5 million homeowners listening to this podcast, some of you could like write us an email and tell us what you think on this because I am curious. But I feel like my experience is the homeowner is going to have a better reaction when you're doing this discussion regarding property enhancement prior to signing them or during the onboarding process. It's a better experience for the homeowner actually than it would be after that.
Yep.
But, like, the fear, I think, as the property manager or vacation rental company, the fear is, "Oh, no, let's not bring that up now, like, let's not, like, turn the tide of the conversation negative, let's keep it all positive and tell them how much we love their house." But it's like, actually and this is so therapy stuff because
Mhm.
it's like when you act from fear, it never works out better, but, like, if you can act from a place of, like, confidence and expertise, then everyone's happier.
Yep.
And it's true. It's like, don't, if you avoid fearing that conversation and then you drag the whole thing out, it's actually like you're going to have a less happy homeowner. But when you can just start it early and handle it right off the bat and cover it before you get rolling, you literally have a homeowner that's happier, even though the whole fear in the beginning was that they weren't going to be happy
Yeah.
if you told them that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
confidence and
Yeah.
transparency is huge.
I mean, it does take actually knowing what you're talking about.
It
So,
does.
yeah.
It does, and
Yeah.
we figure it out as we go
Mhm.
sometimes and what works and what doesn't. Um, but yeah, I think the preface of what we're gonna be doing and the time spent and the effort of multiple team members going into getting this property ready is big because it's like this is why we're partnered
Yeah.
and why we
Yes,
split,
again, back to that,
like,
right?
why
Because
we
it's like
split revenue
yeah,
and,
like when a homeowner says to us, sometimes they'll be like, "Your rental, you have a rental in my house," and and it's like, I always think to myself, "Well, it's our rental. Like, it's your house and we're in business together on
totally.
this."
Your home is a rental.
Yeah,
It is a rental, and
right.
when you come, yes, we want it to feel like your home.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
because it is your home,
that
but,
is
like, it's
yeah.
also a rental,
Yeah,
right?
that's the goal though. It's like
Yeah,
when the owners, it doesn't matter how many guests we've just had, that
yeah,
owner that comes once a year, they just want it to feel like their home and everything be perfect.
right.
That's the goal.
Yeah, but it's like, we're in business together. And so I think sometimes when a and honestly, this is a sign of like a homeowner that I think we get the sense like maybe we shouldn't work with them when someone treats it like, um, your rentals, your like Abode, it's like Abode,
Mhm.
or the
Your
vacation rental company, like, oh,
renters,
it's
yeah.
them, it's their it's like, well, no, I mean, it's ours, right? Because like we can't have that renter in that reservation without the house. So
Yeah.
we're like in it together. And to me, when a homeowner understands, like, hey, we're in it together, we're not coming to you with these recommendations for property enhancement or inventory additions or whatever for our own needs, like just for
Mhm.
us, right? It's like number one, it's to make your house better for your use and the guest use. And we're not coming to you like asking you to spend on something for us.
No,
It's like
yeah.
it's for us to do business together and
Mhm.
have like better reviews and
Right.
happier guests and like I don't know, like a home isn't a living thing, but like it kind of is. It's like your house is going to be like have better vibes and be a better place for you to go
Mhm.
to and the guest if everything's handled appropriately.
Right.
It's kind of crazy.
And I mean, Abode, we care a lot about the guest experience.
Mhm.
I think you said it was like the guest's only job is to check in
Yeah, yeah.
and
I
then
learned
leave.
that from a conference
Yeah.
recently. Well, I didn't
Yeah.
learn it, right? But, like, it was reminded to
Yeah.
me, and it made me, like when someone brought this up at a conference I was at recently, it just struck a chord with me because we all know this, but, like, the truth is that when you're in luxury, the guests only have, like, 2 things that they have to do. And from our standpoint, like, as the vacation rental company, we really and as being in hospitality,
Mhm.
we should really be remembering that, like, all the only thing that a guest has to do is pay for their reservation and show up.
Right.
They should not have to do anything else. And I do feel like for homeowners, there is more that they have to do, right? Because they own the house and they are sort of in business with us to do all these things. We do wanna make our homeowner experience as simplified and efficient and, um, enjoyable as
Right.
possible,
Mhm.
right? And so but, from the guest standpoint, really all they have to do is pay and show up, and so then that's part of that whole property enhancement because you want the house set up perfectly so when they get there, they have an amazing experience. But really for the homeowner too.
Yeah, and exactly
Yeah.
for the homeowner, because I was talking to, a homeowner in Sun Valley. We haven't onboarded them or anything, but they're with a current company, and they were astonished at the fact that we stock the property with, like, toilet paper,
Oh,
paper towels for them.
the company they're with in Sun Valley doesn't do
No,
that?
she said that she have to go to Costco before
What?
or stop at a store, whatever, before she would check in.
No.
So I was like, "Well, that's something you can take off your plate pretty
Yeah.
easily." So, yeah, as a homeowner, like, you coming once a year, it's nice to
Right.
just check in and
The
you're
homeowner well,
well
I always
stocked.
used to say to homeowners when it was me talking to them all the time, I was always like, "You didn't buy this house so that it could, like, be a thorn in your side. Like,
No,
you
yeah,
bought the house because you like this place and you wanna go there and have, like, an amazing relaxing time." So, like, we want our homeowners to be able to show up to their house and feel relaxed just like a guest would. And of course, it's different. They own the house, so they're not gonna be as relaxed because 'cause they're probably gonna be like, "Oh, maybe we should paint this room a different color," or, they're gonna have different thought processes because it's their property, but they should be able to show up and have all the things that they're gonna need for their stay, the basics,
right,
like toilet paper and paper towels.
absolutely.
And so, yeah, I mean, that's a nugget for a vacation rental company or property
Make sure you're
managers.
stocking
Yeah,
everything for
you
your
need to
owners,
get
yeah,
your homeowners
yeah.
stay. You need to have a homeowner arrival prepped and perfect so that when they show up, they have a beautiful time just like a guest does.
Absolutely,
And, for homeowners listening, to me, it's like, if your property manager or vacation rental company is not making it so that when you show up to your house, you feel relaxed as much as relaxed as you can be showing up to your own house, um, I feel like then you might need to, like, either ask
yeah,
them to up their game or look elsewhere because I think it's important. Like, again,
yeah,
homeowners don't buy these houses so that they can have a lifelong project. And I
mhm,
mean, look, in any property that you own is kind of a lifelong project depending on how you look at it. But you don't wanna make it so that you go to this place that you're going to for a vacation, and then you show up and you're like, have a
you
a
have
long list of things
yeah,
you have to
to-do
do,
list of
especially
yeah,
not toilet paper and paper
right,
towels. That's
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, and I think after the onboarding process too, because you've been that first owner check-in after everything is very important,
Yeah.
especially
Oh,
if you
yeah.
did give them this huge list that they approved.
Yeah.
Once they check in, that all better be
Yeah.
pretty much done or close to done.
Totally.
Because the feedback from that is usually really rewarding to hear because you've been scheduling, like furniture
Yeah.
deliveries, or you've been, handyman have been building benches that you recommended so people can take their ski
Yeah.
boots off, or mounting ski racks. So when they show up and it looks great and they can experience
Yes.
your upgrades you suggested too,
Yeah.
that creates trust
Yeah.
right
That's like
there.
setting the tone for your relationship with the homeowner
It
too. Yeah.
really is, because then after that, I mean, multiple homeowners, they've been like, "We trust you to make this decision."
Yeah, and that's I mean, well, trust is like the basis of everything in our business. Of course, from the guest standpoint, like the trust of the guest knowing that they booked a house and they can show up and it's going to be what they saw online on the
Mhm.
listing and what they thought they were going to get. But then also from the homeowner standpoint, like even more so, the
Yeah,
trust is like they're giving they're putting their multi-million dollar, well, with the houses that we manage, right? These are like 2 to $50 million value of real estate, and they're, like, putting it into our hands for us to take care of, to create revenue with, and to protect.
Right.
I mean, the trust is, like, so big for that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And like those updates, um, a lot of the time they're suggested through like the property enhancement side of
Yeah.
things. So property enhancement is not just inventory, that's a big chunk of it,
Yeah.
but it's functionality. It's like
Yeah.
adding a weatherproof mat to your front door
Yeah.
so your really
Yeah.
nice rug doesn't get destroyed on
Yeah.
the first rental. It's letting owners know that, I mean, I know you love this fuzzy white throw that's
Uh-huh.
over a blanket, or you bought this $4,000 all white polar bear looking chair.
Yeah, or like an Hermes blanket on the couch
Yeah,
or whatever.
right.
Yeah, but it's
You
like,
might wanna
"Hey."
put that
Yeah.
away for renters
Yeah.
and set those expectations because, our guests generally are very, like, respectful, and
Yeah.
they treat the homes very well.
Right.
Um,
But you don't wanna set a guest up if there's, like, damage to something, and
no.
then that's gonna, like, they're gonna feel really bad, and then the homeowner's gonna be mad about it. It's like,
Mm,
you can sometimes reduce that risk without, like, downgrading the experience for the
totally.
guest.
The
Yeah.
one thing you taught me was, like, if the homeowner is going to be worried about something while they're not at the property, they
Yeah.
know a guest is in-house and they're sitting and worrying about
Yeah.
their designer chair,
Yeah. Let's not have the chair
let's
there
not
for the
have the chair
guest.
there.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's something I used to always say to homeowners was, like, if they would ask me, like, um, "Oh, well, we have these," like, one homeowner that we have in Jackson Hole has these hand knit, it's leather, that's strips of leather that's been hand knit or, like, crocheted, and that's, like, the material that's covering the chairs, and they were telling me how expensive they were and fragile, and so I was like, "We need to get these put
Yeah,
up for the guests," because, it's like, you don't wanna spend, you did not buy this house, again, you bought it to enjoy, you did not buy it so that you could sit at home freaking out every minute of the day while there's a
absolutely.
guest in house where you're worrying if they're gonna ruin your chair.
Right,
So
and
it's like, no, let's just take that, like, why don't you just have a relaxing time while
mhm,
there's guests in your house? And so you don't have to worry about your Warhol painting or whatever. Now,
totally, yeah,
we do have
and
a house that we manage that has a Warhol painting and nothing bad has ever, knock on wood, happened to it. But it's like that homeowner is not worried about it. I don't
right,
know. They just don't care. But if they
and then
were, I would be like, let's take that sucker down.
absolutely, if
Yeah.
it's irreplaceable. And
Yeah.
then also when you come to the owner, with these things,
Yeah.
provide them a solution or suggestion
Yes.
too. So you're not just like, get this out. It's like, hey, this weatherproof mat would work a lot better than your rug for this area.
Yes.
Come up with a solution,
Never
present
bring a problem without a solution.
no, and
Yes.
present them like all of the information they would need to make a decision too. So if you're do the shopping for them.
Yeah.
Send them a link. We would suggest this one. Do you approve?
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah, like, don't say, "Oh, you need a new side table, or you
it's
need
like,
new bedside
mm,
tables," and then nothing. It
yeah,
should be like, "Hey, here's why we think you need new bedside tables, and here's some
here's a few
examples and
options.
links which we
Mhm.
can order for you and put in the house, or you can order, or you can pick some," like, you give them the answers to the issues that you find in the
Mhm.
house. Yeah.
Yeah. So really, all they have to do at that point is approve it. We
Yeah.
ship items to our office and set them up at
Everything
the
else.
property, and um, it's seamless and easy on them. We don't want to create a bunch of stress coming to them with
Yeah.
these, improvements or solutions. So if we can put together a plan and it's like, this is how we're going to do it. And plus that saves a lot of time in the back and forth.
Yeah.
So if you don't provide all the information, they have to keep kind of,
Yes.
asking
You'd be, like,
discovery
30
questions.
emails deep on trying to
Yeah,
solve a problem instead of 1. Yeah.
absolutely. So
Okay, so I feel like we have covered a ton. I feel like, if you're listening to this and you're an Abode homeowner, which you might be because I'm hoping to send these
hi,
out.
everyone.
I'm hoping to send out these episodes to our homeowners. So if you're listening and you're an Abode homeowner, like, look look how much thought we put into this, and, like, look how much Myles cares about this. Like, how crazy is that? Obviously, I care about it. Like, my husband and I started this, and this business is, like, our whole life. But I think it's insane that people work here and they care about it as much or more than we do. Like, that's crazy. So to me, if you're an Abode homeowner, like, we could do, like, 5 more episodes on this
Mhm,
topic.
totally.
There's so much that goes into what we do to start working with a new homeowner, onboard a house, keep it going, keep the property up to where it needs to be. Like, it takes, when we show people how the sausage is made, like, it is a very involved
It's in
recipe.
depth. Yeah.
Yes, and so I think there's that. If you're an Abode homeowner, like, look how much people care about this, and, like, we have so many things we could tell you about how we do all this. I don't know if you wanna know it all, but and if you're not, if you're a homeowner and you're, with another company because you don't have a home in one of our markets, because obviously if you did, you'd probably be working with us, or you wish you did. Um, then, I think, if you're a homeowner and you're listing your house, and, you're working with whoever your property management or vacation rental company is, I think it's really good for homeowners who wherever they are, to know, like, how much goes into this. And so, you want to make sure that your company is thinking about these topics. So it's always fine to, like, ask them, do they cover this kind of stuff? And what do they do for onboarding and property enhancement and all of that? I think most companies are always looking to do better, and to, like, we all learn from each other. We learn from other companies all the time. And so there's that. And I also think for people that are in the vacation rental industry, like, all of us, we're always striving to learn more and to improve our processes, to improve our outcomes, to improve our homeowner and guest experiences. And I think, you know, if anyone is listening and they're with a vacation rental company and you hear us talking about this and you have ideas of what you do that we haven't talked about yet, like, we would love to know, because we would love to improve our processes too. As much and as hard and as many years, as hard as we've worked and as many years as we've spent figuring all this out, like, we can figure out more, and we're always trying to do better. So,
Yeah.
I hope everyone got something good from this. I don't know how it's possible that you couldn't have, because Miles just shared, like,
Yeah,
a lot of nuggets of
yeah,
sauce.
find us on LinkedIn.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, if you
yeah.
find me,
Find
gonna
Miles. He wants to tell
message
you
me.
more.
Yeah, there's
Yes.
a lot more that we
If
could
you're an
go
Abode
another hour.
homeowner, you already know how to contact Miles. But you know what? So the email that we use for homeowners, for our homeowner team, is my abode, like MYAB, like boy, OD like dog, at abodeluxuryrentals.com. So if anyone does have a question, like, that's a great way to
Yeah,
reach out to the team
absolutely.
overall. And otherwise, I'm sure we'll do more episodes with Miles on this topic. 'Cause clearly, we just scratched the
Yeah,
surface. But in the meantime, thanks for listening, and check back on our next episode, because I think our next one is gonna be with Michael, I think, with guest
great.
services. So,
That'll be really
yeah, and otherwise, I think everyone should know that, I'm back on tirzepatide, and I thought I was gonna puke during this episode, but guess what? I didn't. So, yay! And hopefully next time I'll have that better under control. But, if you didn't notice that I was about to puke, like, midway through, thanks, but I'm telling you anyway because I'm really transparent that way. All right, thanks for listening.